What fact about the opposite sex did you learn embarrassingly late in life? I had always thought a woman had her period once a month, so I had it in my head that it was like a cell phone bill where it was every month on a specific date like the 15th. I didn't know that men ejaculated. I don't know why. I was in for a big surprise the first time I had sex. I was 19 years old. I dated my now husband in high school and had an embarrassing attempt at a first blowjob. I didn't really watch PRN, so I literally just started kissing it, no tongue, and then asked if it felt good. Not really. He still married me. A friend in high school never paid any attention in sex ed. He was 18 years old when his girlfriend told him her period was late. He thought it was weird. A few days later she told him it's okay. I got my period, he said. Went on his merry way. Told a couple of chick friends how his girlfriend was acting strange. We had to explain the entire process of conception to him. He was absolutely fascinated, so we went all out with vagina diagrams. Pregnancy. Birth. Periods. He would ask questions about it all day for months. A long time ago in my late teens, a girl asked me really uncomfortable questions and she admitted she was an open book. I asked if she masturbates. She said no. Girls don't masturbate. I believed her for the longest time until I met my ex, which then revealed she did. It was a combination of embarrassment and anger on being trolled. I couldn't figure out why it's so common for men to pee on the seat and the floor around the seat. Is it that hard to aim? Like, how is this such a thing? Then I had a son and potty trained him. I remember the moment it clicked. He pointed it one way and the pee went a totally different direction. It defied logic. Split streams are the bane of any man's lavatory experience. Not about opposite sex, but still kind of fits the criteria. I have a friend who has one testicle. When he was born, he had one removed due to birth complications, urethra wrapped around it. I think his parents never mentioned it to him, so as he grew, he believed having one testicle was normal. As he got into middle school, other kids kept making jokes about balls. He thought they were funny because of how people referred to multiple testicles and just played it off as part of the joke. In 7th grade, he discovered PRN and realized the men in the videos all have 2 testicles. He confronted his parents in a really awkward conversation afterwards. For those who are curious, the one testicle grew larger to carry the weight of missing the other one. It's roughly in the shape of a gently flattened ball of Play-Doh. My wife thought men pull their pants all the way down at urinals and asked if it wasn't weird to see all those butts anytime I had to take a leak. My wife's manager, single male, 56 plus, made a comment 3 years ago that if you get PMS cramps and blood during period, you should see a doctor immediately. The entire office still made fun of him till this day. Had a friend who only figured out what a clitoris was in a game of Cards Against Humanity at the ripe age of 26. He was the one judging the cards in a game with 3 guys and 4 girls. Someone played the clit card. He read the card aloud and goes, "I don't even know what that is." Awkward silence ensued. Never felt so bad for someone in my life. Not the opposite sex, but of my own sex. I watched Robin Hood, Men in Tights as a young child. They have a part in the movie about circumcision. Basically they make a joke that circumcision is done with a mini guillotine. So for years I thought circumcision was cutting off the tip of the penis. In middle school I was in the locker room and noticed a penis with no tip. This only confirmed my suspicion. I assumed he was circumcised and I was not. In hindsight I realized that the foreskin was covering the tip and he was actually uncircumcised and I was circumcised. It wasn't until high school when I told my first girlfriend I was uncircumcised and she had to explain to me that I was not. Some guy in the locker room and a short bit in a movie were not good evidence to argue my case. But on the upside, I get to tell this story about once a year and it always gets a laugh. Took me until high school to realize that the penis needs to get hard in order to enter the vagina. The sex ed we had in grade school was okay. It talked all about the reproductive organs and what they do, but nothing about how actual intercourse worked. I spent too long wondering how the heck a floppy penis was supposed to get inside that small hole. Edit. I realize that I never specified if I was a guy or a girl. The comment replies are hilarious. I may be female, but I identify as a chocolate Pop-Tart. So take that for what you will. You take the eraser end of a pencil and just push a penis in there with it. Edit. Oh, this did not deserve gold. Edit 2. I'm glad I was able to make so many people laugh. Have a great night, guys. Not necessarily the opposite sex, but I was having my boyfriend feel a weird part of my belly button and he said, man, they must have pushed yours in wrong, and I was like, full stop. Apparently he thought that doctors push the umbilical cord in when you're born and that's how belly buttons are made. He's 21. That the tampon string just hangs out there. Yank it and you get a surprise. Edit. Wow, I did not expect this to take off. Thanks for the gold. Also fixed spelling. A girl I know that I used to fool around with has a 5-year-old son now, not mine. We were talking one day and I don't know why it got brought up, but she called him a little pervert. And that all guys are perverts. I ask why. And she explains that we constantly think about sex at night because we wake up in the morning with erections. She called her 5-year-old son a pervert for having morning wood. I had to explain to her that it's something we literally can't control. Doesn't matter what we are dreaming about. There's like a 9,999% chance we are gonna wake up with a Rega. She still didn't believe me. Good friend of mine had testicular cancer. Recently another friend made a comment that his wife must be so happy to not have to deal with balls anymore because they just hang there and it must be so much nicer looking. She thought that the entire ball sack was removed and he was just left with a penis. Being a young kid, I used to hump my bed to get off. It's because I had Cinemax in my room. And my parents didn't know. So I got to watch Passion Cove all the time. I figured, hey, he's doing this to that pretty lady. I can just imagine she's under me too. Now obviously I was shooting blanks and for the longest time I thought this is always how it would be. Well, was I in for a surprise the first time I ejaculated. I was so mad that I had a mess to clean up now. I missed the days of rattling them off with nothing to worry about. Till I'm not the only one who started masturbating before they were producing semen. Edit. Of all comments, this is my top one. Thanks Reddit. Fun story. I'm a med student tiering for anatomy and we were dissecting the sex organs earlier this week. I asked one of the professors for help finding some of the structures so I could show the students what we were looking for. I said, I'm woefully uneducated in female anatomy, which is unfortunate as I am a female. His response was, it's okay. You'd be surprised the number of guys who don't know it's called a scrotum and not just ossiballs. Way goddamn late to the party, but I posted this before and wanted to share again. I used to think my testicles were my unborn kids. Like one day they would hatch and bam, I would have 2 kids. I was always confused when I saw people with like 8 kids. And wondered how he walked before. Breasts are soft. Being a loner meant I never felt any. And I assumed they are like muscular or something. Not stiff, but firm nevertheless. Like a bag of sand. My exes used IUDs for contraception that pretty much stopped their periods. At 24. My current GF is my first real exposure to a regular menstrual cycle. One time while getting intimate, she says, by the way, I have a tampon in me. I ask, but what's it still doing there? Apostrophe. Well, I thought you use it like a pipe cleaner and then take it out. I thought periods were a one and done type thing, not a monthly ordeal. It made me wonder if my teacher was crazy sentimental when she said her daughters mark it on their family calendar. Edit. This Sunday will be period day. In my mid-30s. Just found out that penises don't have 2 holes. I thought there would be two different, you know, pipes for the two different fluids. You're semi-correct, they do start in different places. They just connect on the way so they can exit the same place. Hymens aren't little vagina freshener seals. Boyfriend is 28. He thought we carried around little containers of Vaseline to lube up the tampons before inserting them. He also just found out that some tampons have cardboard applicators. He was horrified on both accounts. I sent that uncomfortable. Close bracket. Already commented this, but he also just found out that maxi pads stick to your panties and not your body. Like a giant band-aids. I had to explain to my female friend that when you orgasm you do not ovulate. She is 25 and was afraid of having sex because she didn't want to waste her eggs. As a child I thought sex was one moment of penetration and then over. Like you roll around and kiss. Then the guy sticks it in once and the sperm comes out and sex over. I was basically getting ready to have sex for the first time when I learned that the penis is in the whole time thrusting. I didn't know about the thrusting either. I just thought that you fell asleep connected and the sperm would slowly come out due to the term sleeping together. I thought penises got slimy and slippery when men were about to have sex. I have no idea where I got this idea. To be honest. When I was 16 and was fumbling through my first hand blowjob, I remarked on how soft-skinned and dry his dick was. TBF. That must have been such a huge turn on for him. MMMM. Baby. Your DK is so dry. Just the way I like it. It wasn't until I had a gay male friend late in high school that I learned gay men have an LSX. They don't actually put one's penis inside the other's. Edit. I was apparently not far off on this one. Docking is a thing. Till. When two gay men have sex, how do they know whose penis will open up to accept the other person's penis? Edit. Okay, so as long back as I can remember, I knew girls didn't have dicks. But I thought they just didn't have anything there at all. Like it was just a smooth area of skin, like a Barbie doll, and that they ate from their butt and that's why they had to sit down and use toilet paper when urinating. Eventually I found out the truth. But for years I believed girls just didn't have anything there. I remembering having really bad diarrhea and thinking I was peeing from my butt and wondering if it were possible that I was turning into a girl. The human body used to be so much more mysterious. The difference between the vulva and vagina. A high school classmate referred to it as a vulvo. I knew what a vagina was. But I didn't know PSSY was another full name for it. So why did my dumbass ask my 7th grade history teacher in the middle of class? Edit. So to add a little more to the story. I was known as the sheltered booksmart teacher's pet, so I was picked on a lot. Some guys in my history class were making fun of me for not eating PSSY like they did. I was always a little slow and at that point in my adolescent, I barely understood the point of masturbation, so oral sex was alien to me. They wouldn't explain what PSSY meant, so in my frustration I just rose my hand and asked the teacher. I didn't think asking about it was that inappropriate. So then Germany invaded Poland, so hand shoots up, what say PSSY. My brother thought women wore bikini tops, etc. because they didn't have nipples and were embarrassed. He was probably 10 when I broke the news to him. Edit. Learned the difference between tampons and pads. I thought the words were synonyms. God, there is a big difference on application. The actual vaginal hole is lower than expected. She quickly corrected me. Thankfully didn't go to low though. I vaguely knew that some men had foreskins, but I didn't know anything about how they operated or functioned until my late 20s. It honestly just doesn't come up very often in the Midwestern United States. I also didn't realize how rare intact foreskins were around here until then either. My husband and I started dating in high school, so we had all the awkward first moments together. The first time I jacked him off, I was so shocked that cum is warm mayo. I don't know what I thought before, but I was like, It's warm. Gross. Not what he wanted to hear. Did you think the balls are like a fridge? Until I was about 7. I thought boobs were just lungs located outside the body. God, that would be disturbing if you saw boobs inflating and deflating as women breathed. Edit. The replies have been half sharing in the horror. Half turned on by this. And half not understanding the difference between inflating and just rising. When women are on their period and they sneeze and blood comes out of the vagina. Edit. Holy, I never thought I would have so many upvotes in something on my life. And when they laugh they leak blood as well. Oh, and it's not just blood like it would come out of a cut. It's gelatinous and gross and goopy like snot. When a woman in labor is dilated to a 7, they are talking about her cervix, not her pupils. I had heard the term in movies etc for years and made the connection while watching a video in birthing class and embarrassingly exclaimed, oh, that makes more sense. My friend was close to 30 before he realized that the birth control pill did not prevent STDs. He was dating a mutual friend. And she suggested that they both get tested before having sex without condoms. He replied, but you've been on birth control a long time. That's how I found out it was super common for adult, educated men to make this assumption. Never knew girls wiped after urinating until recently. Was in my mid-20s and had just finished having sex. The girl had been wearing black tights and as she was putting them back on, I was like, you know, I never knew tights were like one thing. I thought they were two separate things, each of which you put on each leg. And she was like, but are you serious? I mean, to be fair, that kind exists too. Watching One Born Every Minute, a show about women giving birth in the UK, and asked my so where the umbilical cord went after being cut. I guess I'd always assumed it just sort of got sucked back up into the vagine like the electrical cord on a vacuum. I'm 27. Edit. Yo, I get it, cord rope. Cord music. The H stays mutho as. Cum is not absorbed by the women's body but drips out afterwards. I have a friend who thought periods happened in exactly one calendar month. He said, wouldn't it suck if you got your first period on your birthday? Because then you'd be on your period on your birthday for the rest of your life? Didn't know where to begin explaining what's wrong with that. Edit. I'm curious why this got so many upvotes. Is it from women who have also encountered this belief? Or is it from guys reading it and going, wait, that isn't how it works? The tampons have sizes. Women are just as nervous on a first date as I am. Female roommate who grew up in a house with only females. Had a guy over. Guy needed to pee. She remembers there's no toilet paper in the bathroom and runs to get a roll. He says it's okay. I'm just going to pee. She's confused. Didn't realize that guys don't wipe their penises after peeing. Till more stuff than I'd like to admit. That women do not pee out of the hole they put their tampon in. I just assumed that was what took them so long when they went to the bathroom. They have to take it out and put it back in again. Right? Dad didn't know this either. He's 58. I knew about pubic hair. That there's a pee hole and a rest hole. Had a girlfriend a while back who told me that when she was in college she didn't understand what happens when guys climax. Said she gave this one guy several blowjobs but always stopped after he was moaning a lot because she thought he'd orgasmed. Eventually he begged her to finish and then had to explain that semen comes out. There's an actual limit to how much you can shove your dick in. No. You can't really penetrate the cervix. I thought titties referred to the chest in general, so as an annoying 11-year-old I decided it was a good idea to run up to other boys in the locker room and call them out saying nice titties or something. I think everyone thought I was either special ed or gay at that point. Periods. That I'm not really attracted to them. The vagina is closer to the arsehole than I had ever imagined. One small slip of the tongue and all of a sudden you're a person who eats ass. I didn't know what a vagina was until I was 13 and pulled down my first girlfriend's pants and audibly said you have two buttholes. I recently came to the realization that women have a little pee hole that they pee out of. I was absolutely gobsmacked when my GF presented me with this information. I spent about a week thinking about how this has never come across in a conversation or how I was never taught this. I, for some reason, always assumed they peed through the baby exit hole. I'm 26 and thought I was invincible. I now no longer know what reality is. Baby exit hole. It wasn't until college that I learned that girls could be messy and even messier than guys. The state of the rooms of some girls I knew looked like a tornado had hit it. As a child, I thought blowjobs were low-level jobs that doesn't pay as much. Like in a balloon factory. Girls especially don't like doing blowjobs because it's a job that blows. It. Holy inbox. I guess this comment doesn't suck. One of my top comments about blowjobs. Thanks blowchachus. Always thought that the menstrual cycle was a one-time thing that turned girls into women and that's it. I wish. My cousin, female, told me that she didn't realize that semen was stored in the testicles until she was like 17. She'd always thought that erections were the penis filling up with semen. I mean, if you didn't know any better, it'd make sense I guess. Just so you know, semen isn't actually stored in the testicles. The gonads secrete a sort of liquid that contains the spermatozoa. And that travels up towards the abdomen where it's mixed with other fluids from the prostate and the seminal vesicles to form semen. I learned pretty late in life that almost every woman has a story of harassment or scenario that range from uncomfortable to assaulted. I grew up for a long time thinking we are equal and respectful to each other. But nope. Women have a much harder time in physical safety. My boyfriend didn't know that girls don't pee out of their vaginas until like 6 months ago. He's 23. Women have pressure when they. I'd assumed it just kind of dribbled out. At least you didn't continue to think that like John Updike, who wrote a book including how he imagined women urinate and are envious of men peeing thunderously apparently. But she was. For the bathroom door didn't altogether close. Due to the old frame of the house settling over the centuries. And she had to sit on the toilet some minutes waiting for the pee to come. Men. They were able to conjure it up immediately. That was one of their powers. That thunderous splashing as they stood lordly above the bowl. Everything about them was more direct. Their insides weren't the maze women's were. For the pee to find its way through. My friend's ex-girlfriend thought women had prostates. She was a lesbian who learned about sex from /fanfic. Mayan. I read somewhere that woman's period attract bears. Bears can smell the menstruation. So can dogs unfortunately. They get angry if you forget their birthday. Maybe not exactly what you're looking for. But I hadn't realized a placenta wasn't just a plug into mum's bloodstream until my son was born when I was 31. Mum and child having different blood groups had been a plot hole in life I had never really thought about. Now I understand it's more like a bunch of mum capillaries and placenta capillaries interwoven but not joining. Nutrients. O2 and CO2 are exchanged. But blood is not. That a penis grows as it gets harder aroused. That women get hit on all the time. While me as a male. Not even once. When I was 15 I learned that when finger blasting a girl, there is a right hole and a wrong hole to try to get your finger in. And no, I am not referring to an asshole as the wrong hole. The first time I ever ate someone out, I was absolutely wasted. And I'm still not completely sure I didn't snog her belly button. When I asked her about it later, she wouldn't stop laughing and refused to tell me much. The towel wrap thing girls do on their head after a shower. Their hair is actually wrapped up in it. For years I thought it was like some kind of towel hat. That women also watch PRN. Types PRN Hub. Please confirm you are male to continue. Is anyone else just sitting here thinking how the did you not know that? A friend's boss wouldn't allow her to leave a meeting to go to the bathroom. She needed to change her pad as she was on her period. She asked again. He said no. She said a sigh, if you don't let me go to the bathroom, I'm going to bleed through my skirt onto this chair. Apostrophe. He said. Just hold it in. He was a 33-year-old man who thought women could just hold back the tide with their vagina muscles.